Hello, today I'm going to be making some medieval recipes. The book I'm using today is The Medieval Kitchen, recipes from France and Italy. There are some other books where I'm pulling some facts from, and it's going to be really fun. This book includes how to make pies, roasts, treats and stuff. And this is actually one of the sweeter treats that you can find in the book. A lot of the other treats are a lot tartar. So, you know, sugar was like a hard commodity for some people. And so today we are definitely cooking for a king or a lord. All right, so we are gonna be making cherry eye or cherry pudding. I think they would call it cherry eye, which is very interesting. And this is going to be made for the feast of St. John the Baptist, as they put it in the book. So let's get started. All right, so here are the ingredients to our recipe we need. We got some cherries here, pitted. Normally I'd like them fresh, but they are definitely not in season. We are going into turkey season. And so here are the cherries I'm using. They're from Oregon, which we love. And so you need about 1.5 pounds cherries, pitted. We need about 5 flow ounces of red wine, sugar, 1/2 cup. So yeah, it's not gonna be, I don't think it's gonna be too sweet. These are very tart. And then we have some really hard bread that we are gonna use in the pudding. And then finally, 1.5 cups of butter and some cloves. Okay, I got my apron on, which I'm borrowing from my sister, thanks Amelia. And I'm gonna put my hair up, which is important because when you have long curly hair, it's gonna get in the food and you have siblings that will complain. So here we go. Okay, so I actually wanna try one of these cherries because I think they're really tart. My sister said they are, so. Okay, let's try just a little bit. Those are gonna need some sugar. Okay. All right, so we have our cherries over here at the Vitamix. So we're gonna put them in. And I actually left, cause the cherries were in some water and I left some, oh my gosh, there they went. I left some in water, of the water, cause I tasted it and it tastes like cherries. So, you know, I thought it would be good. So I'm gonna put these in and you just need to blend them up real good. And while we're blending, I think I'm gonna tell you one of my favorite history facts of all time. 4th of July, there's a man who made a really great discovery. This discovery was great. And I also think that this guy, you know, he helped Anyways, that's just one of my favorite stories of all time, you know. Anyways, so we got this blended. Oh my gosh, and it looks so yummy already. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, and as you can see, I've already started decrusting. So the next step is we gotta decrust all this hard bread. And I've already done it here on this one. And this is going to my little chicks, so they'll enjoy that. So I'm just carefully decrusting the bread as careful as possible because finals week is coming up and I'm not losing a finger for it. You know, I gotta type. Okay. All right, as you can see, I have most of it done and we're just going towards the end. And you know, as I'm cutting this bread, it really just reminds me of like some stuff I've learned about how people would eat in medieval times. And something they would do, which is like honestly my favorite thing ever, is they would use their bread like this and they would just completely carve it out, put their food in it, and use the bread like as a plate. That's like the best thing ever. And if you were just a peasant, sometimes you might be lucky enough to get your lord's bull for the evening for your dinner. So that's pretty cool. Not for the peasant, but you know, peasant life. All right, so we're gonna go and we are gonna cut these in little cubes here. And just to make sure, I'm gonna see about how. All right, it's a small dice, says the thing. Small dice. Okay, that's great. So I'm gonna just cut this in half carefully. And honestly, obviously you can tell I'm not a chef, so I'm just someone who loves food and history. So, okay, so I'm just gonna cut these up. All right, we got all that done. We got this diced up and we got this blended, and now's the really fun part. We get to combine it all. So first I'm gonna put in this cherry wonderfulness that looks like a cherry smoothie, which I would have for sure. And I just kind of put a strainer because I don't know, I didn't know if there's gonna be something. I just want to be careful. Okay, and then next we are going to put in the bread. The beautiful little bread. Gorgeous. Wow. Get in there. Wow. Flying bread, boys. Okay. And next we get to add the sugar in. Yum. Honestly, I'm American and I might put more sugar in, but it's fine. You do you. Okay. Next, and the best part, we're gonna add some of this in. Honestly, cooking with red wine gives you so much good flavor, so I'm very excited. And you're supposed to do 5 fluid ounces, and I'm pretty sure there's about 6, so we're gonna do a little less, because honestly, I don't want to be eating wine pudding tonight. I want cherry pudding. Okay. Okay, so we are gonna light this stove up. Sounds good. And we're just gonna start kind of working this in. You kind of want to bring this to a boil, and just when it starts boiling really good, the bread starts falling apart and it just starts looking like pudding, then you're done. So all in all, this recipe is not too hard. I've made harder. And it should be good with the amount of butter we're putting in. It should be really good. And I can imagine that one of this recipe would be just kind of a recipe for when you have some bread that's gone dry laying around. Definitely a seasonal recipe for the medieval times with the cherries. And definitely a delicacy because, as mentioned before, you know, they're not using a whole lot of sugar and stuff. But when you get closer to Paris, you know, you get to those really big cities compared to out in the boonies where a lot of the farmers and peasants lived and some lords had estates out there. You're not gonna have as much as a diverse palate. You know, it's gonna be really seasonal. It's gonna be what's around you at the time. Sure, I'm pretty sure that, you know, if you lived more by the coast, you got some fish. You know, you live more by where there's venison, then that's what you're gonna eat. For the peasants though, they're not eating this for sure. They're gonna have vegetables. They're definitely gonna have a lot of ale because, you know, it's the safest water for them to drink, because you never know what's polluted. You don't know why Jimmy next door died from the water. So once that ale's cooked, you know, it fills your belly, it makes you feel better, you know, because when it comes to peasants, the Lord gets the first pick of food. And he doesn't go hungry, but the peasants definitely are gonna go hungry at times. And also, they're not allowed to hunt on the Lord's land, so, you know, they get what they get. And to be a peasant, man, yeah, it's not a good time, that's for sure. Okay. You know, the medieval times were really interesting. You have a lot of separation between the classes. We have the upper class speaking primarily French, so you see lords speaking French, and they viewed English as, you know, the second class or lower class language, so you're gonna have a lot of peasants speaking English. So just, you know, language alone really sets apart the classes, and especially you start seeing women wearing these really tall hats, and it just gets kind of ridiculous, just the show of status and stuff. And for a peasant, it's, you know, it's really hard to rise up in the ranks, it's almost impossible. So it's just very interesting dynamic. And something that's really interesting is something we take for granted is, you know, what I was using. I used a blender. Well, they would have used a stone and really ground in the cherries with the stone, and everything just hands-on labor all the time. One invention though that is just really helpful for the peasants is water mills and being able to grind wheat into flour. Before, it would take hours to just grind a little amount for a woman, and they'd just be doing it all day, and then once the water mill comes up, then you can just put it in and it grinds it for you. It's pretty awesome. So, you know, the daily grind, that's what the daily grind was, making flour. Okay. All right, as we can see here, it is starting to thicken up. It is boiling. So what we're really gonna look for is for the pudding to start to come to life. It will start swelling up, the bread's gonna fall apart, and we're gonna have cherry pudding. So I'm really excited. I'm really being conscious of scraping the bottom because I really don't want this to burn. That would not be fun. Okay, so the pudding is done. And you can see it, like, really, I'm surprised, like, it seriously got thick, like, look at that. And the bottom's still, like, there, sticking to the spoon. So I'm gonna try it. And this, be in mind, I did not add any more sugar, and those were some tart cherries. So I'm gonna try it. That is really, 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 really good. Like, I was super skeptical of the wine, honestly, but we cooked it out and it's delicious. Okay, it's good. All right, here you have it. Some bread pudding with cherries. It is super, super good, really easy. Like, I think this is the first time I've made pudding from scratch. Of course, I've used the box before, but I think it's super good. My advice is I used a lot less than what it recommended on the wine, but hey, if you really like the flavor, put more in, cook it out, some good stuff. Millie, how do you think the pudding is? Good? Yeah, all right, we'll see you next time. Thanks, bye. Give me the review. How's your pudding?
It's excellent. It tastes like a jam.
Does it?
Yeah, it tastes like a jam to me, like a hot jam. I like it.
Okay, thanks. Did Chanel, did you get to try some?